It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org from Louisville Public Media.
Consequence Podcast Network.
And welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with the interview series presented by WFPK Independent Louisville at WFPK.org, Consequence of Sounds, and the Consequence Podcast Network. I'd like to thank our subscribers for checking in with us multiple times a week. I know we do have new interviews episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so thank you for listening to all of those. And thank you for all the comments so far in the various places that you do hear this podcast in. If you haven't already, give us a hi, hello, and please, give the series a rating and a review wherever you listen from as well. Those are always huge helps. Always appreciated. And if you're not a subscriber, don't wait any longer. Hit that subscribe button right now. We'll deliver multiple episodes straight to your inbox every, like I said, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Best way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. I'm Kyle Meredith, and today my guest, country star Scotty McCreery. Right now, he's touring behind his 2018 record, Seasons Change, but just released an EP called the Soundcheck Sessions. These are acoustic versions of a few of the songs from Seasons Change, like This Is It and In Between. We're going to talk about both of those songs, what they mean to him and what they mean in the bigger picture, and how, along with the comeback single, 5 More Minutes, these all appear from a time, a comeback era for him. After being dropped from his record label, he really came back and proved himself, landed a record as being the first artist to have a #1 on the Billboard country charts without having a record label. So we'll talk about what a validating moment that must have been, and taking control over his own songwriting. It's kind of an old country music standard that, you're as an artist, you go in and you select songs that other people have written. You become a performer. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not the road that Scotty has taken. In the last few years, every single one of the songs on his new record is written and co-written by him. So I want to talk about the importance of that process and what he's currently writing about. He's hoping some new songs are going to make their way into the world sooner than later. So we'll get the updates on the next record, recording between tour stops, and his book. Don't call it a biography, but a few years ago, he already released his first book, what he calls a travelogue of his life, which just got re-released as a paperback, so we're going to hear about that as well. So let's jump into it, talking about the Soundcheck Sessions. It's Kyle Meredith with Scotty McCreery.
Hey, Kyle, what's going on? It's Scotty McCreery.
Well, let's start out. You're going to be coming to the Louisville Palace January 30th, coming up here in just a little over a week, I guess. And touring behind, you've got a lot to tour behind. The most recent EP is the Soundcheck Sessions. And so this is a few tracks from the last record, just acoustic versions, right?
Yeah, just kind of a different way for folks to hear the songs. And I feel like anytime you can just get an acoustic guitar out and sing the song, you get a little something different than hearing the whole studio version of it with the whole band and stuff. It's a little more intimate sounding. So I love singing them that way, and we thought, why not record them and put them out that way, too.
It's interesting that you use the word intimate, too, because, I think both of these songs really lend itself to that. I love these versions of it, but you talk about a song like This Is It. I mean, this was an intimate song beforehand, but you seem to get even closer into that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how we wrote the song, was just in a room with an acoustic guitar and me telling my co-writers that day about my wife now. At the time, she was just my girlfriend, but we'd known each other our whole lives, and I was sharing details about her and about the plan I had for our engagement. So it was fun to kind of go back to the genesis of the song and record it that way, because you're right, it's a very personal song to me.
Having a song you wrote, now you're married, and now it's other couple songs. That's kind of one of those great gifts a songwriter can get. I mean, I don't know if that's one of the things you hope for, but I have to wonder, on the flip side, does your wife find that she wants to keep some ownership of that moment, even though it now seems to be everyone else's?
Oh, yeah, she's totally cool with it. To us, it's awesome that, folks love the song and want to use it for their first dance or use it when they're walking down the aisle. When we put the song out to radio as a single, both of us kind of thought, man, this song's so personal, I'm not sure how anybody else could relate to it. But, you kind of find out that through music that we're all a lot more alike than we are different. And so if somebody can hear the song and it means something to them, that's incredible. So we both love it.
it's sort of sometimes a debate anyway between, when you're writing a song, do you make it universal, or can you make it so specific? And I personally find that a lot of my favorite songs seems to be those really specific moments in another person's life. Like, I obviously wasn't there, but still, because it's so, so descriptive, I think I don't know, I think I relate to that a little bit more. Is that something you wrestle with?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I don't really wrestle with it anymore. When we were making the last record, it was kind of, should we make this very specific, like you said, or make it more general? And but now when we're writing songs, I go into the writer's room and let's write about what I know and let's write about this specific moment, because the autobiographical stuff is kind of what I found works, at least for me, on the last record for sure.
Let's talk about that last record too and how it relates to this with Season Change. I mean, these two songs that you've got on the Soundcheck Sessions, This Is It and In Between, I mean, they come from these sessions that seem to be a real comeback time for you. I mean, the story's been told now. You've done Idol, and then the record label dropped you a few years later, and you came back and you proved yourself big time. I mean, 5 More Minutes breaking a record at #1. I mean, this must have been a validating moment.
Yeah, it was huge. For me, I love writing songs, and I've written a lot of bad songs, but when I wrote 5 More Minutes, I knew that day it was a special song, and so when we got dropped, and in my mind I was like, man, we're never going to get a chance to put 5 More Minutes out. That just didn't sit well with me, because to me it was my favorite song I'd ever written. So we kind of pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps and got to work in my team and figured out a way to get it out there and for it to become the first song in country music history to chart without a label. And then another label, Triple Tiger, signed me on, and we put This Is It out, and it went to the top as well. Yeah. It was, like you said, very validating and cool, because we had to work hard and do things a little different than most to get those songs out there. So it was cool to see them work out like they did.
In the country world, it is so much about that. Like, it seems to be that you're kind of discouraged from writing the songs yourself a lot of the times. I mean, that's sort of a perception I get. I don't know if discouraged is the right word. You could obviously speak to that better than I can, but you took control over it. I mean, every one of those songs is, it's got your stamp on every single one of those songs.
Yeah, I think that was a huge part of this record for me, and just kind of telling my story. And yeah, there are a lot of incredible songwriters in town, so sometimes, especially back in the day, they were just like all the artists, they didn't really write their songs. Today you're seeing more and more artists that are writing, but for the longest time it was, you don't write the songs, you get sent the songs, you sing the songs, and they kind of become yours over time. But for me, it was just like I've been doing this at that point 7 years now, and I'd finally kind of figured out what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it, and we were making the records. Like, who better to write those songs than me and some of the people that I trust the most in town. So yeah.
And it's beautiful that this sounds so ridiculous that I have to say it this way, and it worked.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad it did. Otherwise, I tell people I kind of bet my whole career on the fact that 5 More Minutes would work and these songs would work. So I'm glad it did work. Otherwise, I might be, out looking for another job or something.
I'll ask about one of the other songs on here too, with In Between. I mean, it's got that great line: I ain't holy water and I ain't Jim Beam. I'm somewhere in between. And to me, this is because people have layers, and I tend to look at a lot of the songs sort of in a bigger cultural picture, and we're in a divisive time or something like this. But I don't know if this really, if you're meaning to speak to it in that same way, but it sort of does sound like that to me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think people are a lot of different things, and not just one thing. And for me, when I got started on the show, I was 16, 17 years old, and I feel like people kind of put me on this pedestal and like, man, he's perfect and he's all this. And I was like, look, man, I there's certain things that are very important to me, faith being one of them, but I also love to go out with my buddies and have a big time, and just went through college and all sorts of stuff. So there's a lot of different, like you said, there's layers to me and there's layers to a lot of us. Like I said earlier, that's I feel like we're a lot more alike than we are different. And when we wrote the song, I was like, man, this song's very me, but I also think that a lot of people can relate to the song.
A lot of kids, when you're kind of stamped a wonder kid, in whatever way, there becomes a moment of rebellion. Did you have that against your image? Did you ever have that moment?
Not really rebellion. I never really had that. I was kind of always myself. And at times was just like, oh man, I don't want. I'll go have a beer with the guys, but don't post this on Twitter or anything because I don't want people finding out, that kind of thing. So if there was rebellion, it was more like, all right, at this point, I don't really care if this gets out or not because it's me, it's who I am, and like to have fun, just like most of us out there.
So we got the Soundcheck Sessions here, and again, you're going to be bringing this to town January 30th at the Louisville Palace. Is this a holdover till the next record?
Yeah, we're making it right now, so we're still kind of seeing a lot of the songs off Seasons Change, and we were talking the other day, me and the band, about getting some songs that aren't released yet, and trying them out on the road, and so we might have some new stuff in there by then. But yeah, it's still kind of working on the next record, and hopefully sooner rather than later we'll have those songs out and ready to go.
And you're touring through September. I mean, when do you find the time to record? Do you do it sort of in between? And if so, do you enjoy that style?
Yeah, we do it during all my free time, right? But no, yeah, it's great for us. We're mainly touring during the weekends, Thursday through Friday. Thursday through Saturday or Sunday. So a lot of times I'll go in and record, on a Monday, Tuesday kind of thing, back in Nashville. So it all works out, and it's so much fun. For me, the studio part is probably the best and the most fun I have in all of this that I do, because you're in there and start with something that's not there, non-existent, and by the time you leave the studio, you have a piece of art, and then you have something that you're excited about. So, yeah, I love it.
Am I able to ask what you're writing about these days?
Yeah, I feel like it's still, just because it's where I'm at in life, it's a lot about love and stuff, but a lot of the Seasons Change record was the foreshadowing, looking ahead to love, and now it's kind of reflecting on, a year and a half of marriage and kind of where I'm at now and what I'm looking forward to now. And so, yeah, it's more so just reflecting on the last little bit, I would say.
Well, cool, man. And I should bring up also, I saw that your biography got a re-release, right?
Yeah, they did. They put it out in paperback. So, and I'll tell you what, for me, I never really loved the word biography just because I'm so young, and I feel like I have a lot of life left, and I almost didn't even write the book because that's how it got presented to me. But we sat down and talked about it. We kind of made it more of just a travelogue of, man, I'm so young and been able to do a lot of cool things. Let's put pen to paper and tell those stories and what I've learned at such a young age about those kind of experiences. Hopefully down the road when I'm 60 and have, Lord willing, had a long career, hopefully we can write another one. But it was pretty fun writing this thing.
Well, however you define it, like I've noticed more and more, like we seem to be in a golden era of musician books, biographies, travelogues, etc. And that used to be the thing. You didn't used to write any of those until later on in life, but it's kind of interesting hearing it in real time, because I do think, or as real time as you can get, because I do think, when you get later, you have to pull so much out of memory. So having something like this, a record like this of your life,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really cool way to keep those memories fresh.
No, absolutely. I mean, even when we were writing this thing, there were some things that I hadn't thought about in a while that were pulled out. I was like, man, we definitely have to write that story. So I'm not sure that if I had written that 30, 40 years later, that I would have even remembered a lot of that. So, yeah, having a record of that at such an early stage and all this is pretty cool.
Right on, man. Well, Scotty, it was a pleasure to talk to you. And again, January 30th at the Louisville Palace with the Soundcheck Sessions EP online right now. Thank you for the conversation today, and we'll see you in town soon.
Absolutely. Can't wait to get y'all's way, and appreciate you having me on.
All right, man. Take care.
Hey, you too. Have a good one.
Big thanks, Scotty McCreery. Again, the new EP is called The Soundcheck Sessions, and 2018's Seasons Change, following him around on his current tour that lasts, at this point, through September. And thanks to you for checking out the episode again. If you're not already a subscriber, I do hope you hit that subscribe button. You can grab us anywhere you get your podcasts from, including iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Acast, Podchaser, any of those places. And if you're already a subscriber, I hope you give the series a rating, leave a review, or just say hi in the comment box. After that, head to wfpk.org. That's where you can find me Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, and bonus interviews. Again, that's wfpk.org. Consequence of Sound, they've got your music and film news. You can also find me on social media at Kyle Meredith. Wherever you social media at, it's always at Kyle Meredith. And that does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.
Consequence Podcast Network.
Hey, I'm Jen, and I love horror movies.
I'm Mikey. I'm dead inside it. I also love horror movies.
And we really like to torture our friend Todd because he hates horror movies.
That I do. And that's why they call me the horror virgin.
That's the only reason we call him that.
That's
I'm not-
no
it's-
other reasons at all.
None at all.
blanket.
Whatever. So
Every week, we take him through the encyclopedia of horror, the good, the bad, the ridiculously Jack Frosts,
and then we make fun of it more or less.
or explain its deceptive feminism.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do. That's my thing.
And I'm the funny one. Our episodes drop on Monday, so check us out.